Right then, so yes, the saga does continue with the suspension. As you can see, I've got a full new kit here to try and make it more coherent, which is what I said in a video the other day. Yesterday, I went to Brookwells and picked up some standard Brit part springs and some front old Man Emu shock absorbers, again, to make it a little bit more tied in and a bit more comfortable. I'll get into the what and why and what I've done in the past and why I'm making this video. But let's go inside, take this in and have a cup of tea and explain it. So at first I wasn't actually going to make this video because another suspension video might be a bit boring, but actually I think it's good to document everything you do, and with changes, you know, and people are going to ask questions, so you might as well do a little video about it and give some information. Previously, I've had lots of different setups, and that's all down to different uses and different weights, not quite looking into it properly and just installing things that weren't quite right. But recently, I've had the absolute perfect setup with the roof tent and the alu boxes on top, because there's quite a lot of weight up there. I found it was quite difficult to control. Not difficult to control, it just wallowed around quite a bit. And now I've got rid of the roof tent and the alu boxes are off for the moment. There's a lot of weight saved there. And I have found, while it corners very well with that anti-roll bar at the back, it's a little bit too stiff over potholes, bumps, and I can imagine off-road it might be a bit compromised because you could cross-axle quite easily and it's just a bit uncomfortable. So that's why I'm doing the change today and making a video about it. So I think things that I've learned from the whole experience and why it's quite good to do a bit of a video about it now is to potentially always make sure to pre-plan your installs and different bits and pieces like that. So you just don't go ahead and buy lots of different things and spend loads of money doing it. It's good to talk to professionals. Yesterday I spoke to Aaron at Brookwells and he helped me a lot. He has a little chart there, you can go through everything. And actually, at the moment what we've done is 110 300 TDI standard springs on the back. And then we're using 90 rears on the front because that's slightly up from standard to give you a bit more of a heavy duty feel, but not so heavy duty, which is what I've got now, because I have got a winch, but just a winch don't think necessarily requires heavy duty. But again, I'm telling you this now so I can tell you if it's too soft in the future, but I'm wanting that comfort, so it's probably going to be a good idea. On the front, I've got Terra Firma shocks, and they've been really good. It's been fine for now, but on the back I've got old Man Emu shocks, and they are very nice, and it's nice to sort of have a coherent feel for the whole thing. So I've got brand new old Man Emu shocks that were on the shelf, which is really nice. Picked them up yesterday. I'm going to chuck those on the front to make the whole thing feel more roadworthy and put the highest quality things. I didn't go for old Man Emu springs just yet, just because of the cost, and also they are 1 inch higher, which is obviously some people like, but I just thought I'd try something else, go for a bit more of a standard height, standard road feel. Hello mate, good boy. Obviously each truck, each build, each weight is going to be completely different, so I'm just making these so you can see what I've done, so you can make your own decisions there. And also I want to talk about taking the roof tent off. Had that on for a good few years, really enjoyed the Vicky Wood tent up there. It's been great, and it was a fantastic, exciting thing to have that, and I can completely see why people have them. It's brilliant. But my downsides to it, I'll go into in a full video. I'm going to do like a camper versus tent versus roof tent sort of video, because I've sort of done them all and changed my opinions on all of them. But it's this time of year when you're not using it so much. It's freezing cold, even though I like camping. I usually would use the camper anyway. And I've taken it off for now because it just sits there over the winter, and I've got a camper van sitting there. So that's off for now, and that's why I'm doing a bit of a change on the suspension. Also, sorry if you're here just for an install video. It's going to be a bit waffly because I've made a lot of changes in the past. But also, if you're watching now, do comment down below if you're interested in a bit of a garage tour at all, vehicle tour. I was always thinking about doing it, but I don't know if anyone would really care. Right, cool. Just use a screwdriver. Crikey. One final thing. I'm going to keep all the springs for now, just to make sure that I'm happy with the setup. In the long term, if I am happy with the setup, I'm going to keep the rears, store them somewhere, just in case I do want to change anything. Obviously, it has got a camp in the back, so it's quite heavy. But if I ever want to put a roof tent on again, if I get a motorbike carrier on the back, I'm going to keep the 300 kilo springs. And I can also add airbags to these, and you can change the sort of load capacity of the rear suspension. So keeping those, and I definitely recommend that if you ever change, keep them for a while or indefinitely if you can. So we've now got the front suspension exposed. I can't remember exactly how long I've had these springs for, but I think I had the front setup I've had since the winch went on, so I'll put that up on screen now. But yeah, the spring's obviously crusty a little bit, but the shock has done pretty well. I'll have a look what they're like compared to the old Man Emu ones when they come off, but I think the easiest way to get up here is to take these plastic caps off. You can obviously just get to the nut there, but I think it'd be easiest to do it from the top there, and then the bottom one here is always a bit of an issue, but yeah, should be good. So as you can see there, that's exposed nicely. You come out and you got that one there. First things first, going to undo the nut top of here, bit of WD-40 on there. I'm going to focus on this one first, and it's really good to have a tool like this rather than just a spanner, because it spins the shock round, and this has enough torque to not spin the shock and just whip the nut off, which you'll see, hopefully, fingers crossed. Like that. Hopefully the bottom one will be better, or will be fine, because I think I will have to use a spanner for that, because you can't get a tool like this onto it. So the nuts on top and bottom are now loose, and I can just hopefully release the jack and hopefully release the nut at the bottom there. These shocks still feel good, to be honest, I have to say. I do rate them. There you go, all three. Right then, so I thought I'd just take a look at a comparison to see what brand new OME would look like next to this maybe 3-year-old terra firma. I don't know what that comparison shows. Woohoo! But it'd just be interesting to see the difference, really. Brand new shock there, looking really nice. There you go, right next to each other. I think the terra firma's actually got a tiny bit more extension there, but that has just been compressed, so it might still be coming out. Okay, yeah, well, it's either slightly less, hang on, let me see if I can compress that one a bit more, slightly less solid build, or the age is showing it, but yeah, I would say this is a good 2/3 easier to press. Well, yeah, I can see a massive difference in those. I didn't expect that at all, actually. I thought it would be quite similar, but actually that's really easy to press in. Where that, yeah, it's a lot more stiff. And yeah, I'm impressed with that. Quite happy that I'm going to be upgrading those. Just going to give, even though it's galv, a nice clean up. Also for the springs, they are actually sided. These 90 rears are yellow and white, and Aaron has written for me passenger side front. So I'm going to check that on the front, and it's good to know that they are sided. So this has been a bit of a pain. I think what I should have done is left the white strap on it so it was nice and compressed. What I've done now is jack the axle up to push this up, strapped it upwards with a roof rack strap, and then that's now holding in position. Hopefully I can get the spring underneath it and see how we go. Let's see. Well, that was a bit tricky. Definitely wouldn't recommend doing it without that little strap on. But it's hopefully in place now, which is good. So there you go, all installed on this side. Unfortunately flaked the paint a little bit down there, holding the shock still because it spins, as I said before. It's all in now, all tightened up nice and tight, nice and neat, coherent with the back, as I said many a time. Now I'm going to get this wheel on and the cat back up on the top, move on to the next side. Won't show you that because it's just the same. Then you'll see the next bit being the back. So it's a hell of a lot later in the day. The sun's going down. It is actually only 3. It feels a lot later. Lots of bits and pieces to do on the house. But now, finally got the sort of driver's side done. new spring in there. A little bit of a fiddle because of the anti-roll bar. But now I'm ready to do the other side. Let's get this one over there and start getting it in. The only thing that's going to slow me down a bit more this time is the nuts underneath that hold the spring in place are not captive anymore because we had to cut them off when we did the chassis swap. So that might slow me down a little bit, but shouldn't be too bad. So that's the hard bit done. Thought that'd be more tough actually, but it wasn't too bad. Before on the other side I had a bit of trouble releasing the spring, but I think it was down to that anti-roll bar. So this time it looks a lot easier. I might need to just ping it out a little bit to sort of lower it down. Let me see. No, that's fine. Wow, a lot easier this time. Of course, it's always the first time's a difficult one. The difference in spring, bit more of a gap this time and slightly chunkier gauge means that you've got more resistance there, but the more sort of rungs you have of the spring, the more compliance you have. Right, let's get that in. Right, let's get these in. Right, there you go then. Springs back in place, nicely held. What I need to do now is just lift the jack up and sit the spring back into where it's meant to be. Right, can feel a bit of a thread at the bottom there. That means that's all tightened up. Now we can go to the back, to the anti-roll bar there and reconnect that. Oof, okay, so a damaged thread on one of the nuts for the ball joint on the anti-roll bar meant that took absolutely ages. I had to repair the thread and grind it down and everything, but it's all back together now. And now I need to get the wheels back on, tidy up, and then we can go for a test drive. So once again, a simple job, taking a lot of the day, not completely because of this, because of external factors as well, but little things getting in the way that had nothing to do with the job. Things breaking, things moving out of the way, things dropping on the floor can really affect it, but we're there now and hopefully it rides a lot nicer now and maybe sitting a little bit lower as well. So fast forward about 24 hours, the weather's a little bit different today, a bit more rainy. Didn't get to try them out last night when I fitted them, but this morning I head into town and actually, obviously, as it's not a huge amount different, I sort of forgot about it, which is quite a good thing to be honest around the rolling roads. So it doesn't give you a placebo effect. And then after, 10-15 minutes I went, oh hang on, let me think about how it's been. And I think the fact that I didn't necessarily notice straight away is good because it wasn't, lolloping around and it wasn't way too soft, because effectively at the end of the day we've gone from a more heavy duty to a more standard setup, even though it isn't fully standard as we have the 90 rears on the front there because of the winch. But I've probably done an hour and a half of driving today with them on. Lots of backcountry roads, B roads, city driving, up onto the driveway, sort of bits and pieces. And I'm happy. Like I said, it's not a huge amount different, but it's better. The crashiness over bumps like those ones was huge. You'd feel and hear the back kick up so much. You probably, if you've been through this, you know what I'm talking about. When you've got an unloaded car with heavy duty springs, the kick you get out the back is massive, and I could hear all the cutlery and the bowls and everything jumping up. And now, obviously, it's a Defender, poly bushed as well. It's quite rattly and it is bangy still, but it's much more manageable and it's really nice. It's back to what it should be. Plus, you have the old Man Emu shocks all round. And it's hard to know, but in my opinion, I would say that the old Man Emu setup, I think the best thing to do would be to buy that all over. But, if you are being slightly budget conscious, you could do what I did and upgrade bits and pieces here and there. But for me, so far, early on, first impressions, the Brit part, pretty standard springs, standard height, with OME shocks, seems to be really nice. Got the anti-roll bar on the back. Found out the hub, when it's locked in, has quite a bit of play. I'll insert that now, which obviously means the anti-roll bar will be slopping and catching, so you can feel it. It's always been a bit like that, but as you go around the corner, it goes and then catches, and then it completely holds it. But if I could find another brand, a more premium brand of freewheeling hub that can resist a bit more wear, get a little bit of that slop out, you'd have even better handling on the road. And then you unlock it for off-road and it'd be perfect. I would say at the moment, back to standard height. Gonna let them settle in a bit. I'll see if I can do an update in another video when I'm doing my other small installs. But for today, very happy with what we've achieved. Maybe third or fourth Boris suspension video, but this is good to document what it's like to take the weight out if you took the camper out or if you took the roof tent off. And we're back to a good setup now, because there's nothing worse than going around the faster B road corners, like 60-mile-an-hour roads, which can be quite windy. And then as you're going around them, I previously felt like my front wheel would come off the ground. That's how bad it was with the roof tent at times. But now we're back to a sort of more standard feeling, and it's definitely an improvement, I would say, and I'm happy with what I've gone for. But as I said before, I'll go test them and let you know in the future if my opinion that holds now is the same in the future. But for today, that's all I've got to say. I hope you enjoyed this one, and if you're still here, thank you very much for being here. Obviously, if you've not been on the channel before, like and subscribe, that'd be brilliant, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.